In Egypt, President Mubarak's government is getting ready for more protests by clamping down hard. Authorities are virtually shutting down internet access. Opposition leaders have been detained, according to Al Jazeera. Bloomberg Business Week's Roben Farzad. What about the effect that the government has essentially seems to be shutting down the communication system? What does this mean for the people's effort?
It's a blunt instrument because if you shut that down, you can't necessarily a la carte pick who can use it. Security forces, important industries, police officers. They realize that this is ultimately a game of whack-a-mole. When the street has already erupted and is out there like this, there's very little you can do in terms of using blunt instruments. You have to have brute force out, which Mubarak is using, obviously, and you shut down the entire network.
What about the fact that Egypt is the U.S.'s biggest Arab ally, and now that there's so much destabilization there? I mean, what does this mean?
There's such an element of realpolitik in it. You almost want to ask Henry Kissinger about this. I mean, this is the devil's trade-off that we make in the Middle East. We have strongman regimes there, but they guarantee some semblance of secularism and pro-U.S. thinking, and they facilitate talks with Israel and other maybe rogue nations in this. But this is very dangerous for us in that it could recourse to the rest of the Arab Middle East.
You covered what happened in Iran in 2009. How is what is happening now in Egypt referencing or maybe bringing up some recollection of the story that you covered in 2009 in Iran?
That you have the street somewhat facilitated and incited by mobile phones and the Twitter sphere. Who would have imagined that the Iranian street would have erupted in the summer of 2009 as people were blasting out Twitter messages saying that there was going to be another protest held in this square and this square. But if you look at the Iranian Revolution, a lot of that was facilitated on audio cassette, which was a novelty back then.
So in other words, use of media is not really that new. It's just that now it's a new form.
It's taking on new forms, and especially in Africa, in North Africa, the Egyptians, anyone from a pistachio merchant to a taxi driver to a person of the middle class, what they call the middle class in Egypt, is carrying a cell phone. So all this stuff is being transmitted through text messaging.